after bowing his head during a blessing before dinner with evangelical leaders in the Blue Room last month, President Donald Trump cracked a joke. "I'm the only person on Fifth Avenue that would have a prayer like that," the president said, according to two attendees, seeming to separate himself from much of Manhattan's swanky Upper East Side. One evangelical leader present offered that Cardinal Timothy Dolan, whose palatial cathedral and residence is blocks from Trump Tower, may also suggest a blessing before dining. Trump agreed before commenting on the cardinal's lavish digs. He then pointed to several of the religious leaders before saying an iteration of "the Christians, they know what I'm doing for them, right?" He grinned and nodded as he was praised. The episode provides a window into Trump's symbiotic relationship with evangelical voters, according to more than a dozen White House officials, advisors, and religious leaders. Several senior White House officials say they've never heard Trump reference the Bible privately or pray in the Oval Office, even though he has, at times, asked Vice President Mike Pence to pray. He swears frequently, even startling some aides with his coarse language. He was famously caught on tape saying he could grab women by their genitals because he is famous. In New York, he was well known for cheating on his wives and encouraging coverage of his sex life in the tabloids. Though he has declared the Bible to be his favorite book, just ahead of his autobiography, he has not exhibited a deep knowledge of it. On the campaign trail, one of his more famous moments was calling the communion "my little wine" and "my little cracker" and incorrectly calling 2 Corinthians 2 Corinthians. Yet he has told advisors he sees evangelicals as among his most important constituencies, and he has enjoyed fervent support, as evidenced by another rapturous reception on Friday at the Values Voter Summit. A Reuters poll in September showed more than 60% of white evangelicals back Trump, far higher than his overall approval rating, which has often fallen below 40%. Trump has been focused like a laser beam on the evangelical vote since the day he entered the presidential race in June 2015, and that has never changed, said Ralph Reed, founder and chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, who said Trump called religious leaders repeatedly during the campaign. Several people who know Trump say he appreciates that evangelicals have been loyal to him, and he wants to keep them in the fold, almost as he would valuable business customers. Evangelical Christians have been pleased by a number of his decisions, like nominating Neil Gorsuch for the Supreme Court, his willingness to fight abortion, his religious liberty executive order, and his stance on Israel, according to Reed and others. In the Blue Room meeting last month, he was praised for opposing Planned Parenthood and promising to push for religious leaders to be allowed to endorse in political races. Religious leaders who brought him concerns were promised quick follow-ups by the government. More than anything, several religious leaders said they feel Trump is fighting for them in a cultural war that has been heading in the other direction. They believe they have a commander-in-chief that is effectively using the bully pulpit to advance a Judeo-Christian framework that has been minimized, scrutinized and ostracized for the last few decades, said David Brody, who has enjoyed tremendous access to White House officials as a correspondent for the Christian Broadcasting Network. He says his viewers overwhelmingly support Trump and see him as unfairly under attack, a view shared by a dozen religious leaders interviewed for this story. Trump alluded to that exact notion during Friday's speech, promising that he is stopping cold the attacks on Judeo-Christian values and declaring the war on Christmas is over. "They don't use the word Christmas because it's not politically correct," Trump said to heavy applause. "Well, guess what? We're saying Merry Christmases again. Times have changed, but now they're changing back again," he added.